Here we go. Hello and welcome to an evening with comrades. Tonight we have with us Pac-Man.
In the pantheon of human history, it shall go Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Ankara, and Istanbul.
We have with us.
Excuse me, Constantinople.
We have with us Dip Dap.
Yeah.
We have Theo.
Hi, I'm Theo. Furthermore, the state of Turkey needs to be destroyed.
We also have with us Senna.
Hello.
And we also have a very drunk Crypto joining us.
Fiska mama karachin al-maut liturki.
Torquillo delenda est!
Want to say a big welcome to everybody in the chat as well. And we've been chatting about it before we went live, but if for some reason you don't know, Turkey invaded Syria, and they've been doing some pretty bad shit. And
I have a list compiled.
yes. I
Mild.
believe there was some sort of ceasefire, though, after the Syrian tank crews were driving north in an attempt to drive into Turkey. So could someone
Right.
update us on that?
Can I do the thing?
Yeah,
go
You
ahead.
do the thing.
Right. I've been following the developments over the past week very, very closely. So, where we left off last week was where that the Turks still hadn't managed to take Talabiyad. Assad then, earlier this week, joined the Kurds against the Turkish offensive. Very interesting there. So the Russians were also doing airstrikes against the FSA. And, well, on their way through these small villages that they captured here and there, the Turks did some absolutely disgusting things. Now, the first thing that happened was on Monday. Actually, no, Saturday that was when the Turkish forces captured the M4 highway for the first time. What they did is they blockaded the street and they stopped any vehicle, civilian or otherwise, that came onto the highway. Stopped the vehicle, pulled anyone inside out, and executed them.
Some of them were actually, if memory serves me correctly, some of them were members of the PYD. One of them was actually an elected official of the PYD.
Right.
Oh,
So,
shit.
what else have they done? The FSA, which is the force, the jihadists that are allied to the Turks, they just executed an entire village of 30 people. The Turkish forces also burnt down churches and murdered any religious official that was not Muslim that they could find. Turks are also currently in the process of setting up concentration camps in the east of Turkey. They're shutting down all the internet access to from Turkey. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and a few hours ago we received confirmation that the Turkish Air Force bombed a village where there was no SDF position with napalm and white phosphorus.
Well, the Air
There
Force
have been reports
the Air Force bombed it with napalm. The artillery dropped white phosphorus.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna say it right here. This goes beyond war crimes. These are crimes against humanity. There is now a legitimate, legal precedent for the entire world to go and invade Turkey. An international coalition should be assembled, and for them to just roll in there and turn Ankara into a fucking bomb crate. But, well, the Syrian Arab Army came in. Because, Assad came in and helped the Kurds because, well, it was still an invasion of Syrian territory. And the Turks are shooting around with old fucking Patton tanks, M60s. So when the Syrians rolled up with T-90s and T-72s, they were shitting their fucking pants.
Hmm.
They
I
lost
would
the Kurds. Sorry, what?
I would actually listen to if I may just like the whole stuff with Rojava and like um the whole thing is like obviously like war crimes against humanity, the Geneva Convention. In the grand scheme of things, like when I look at it, it means absolutely sweet fuck all. Like because that's things like with international legislation and international laws regarding war crimes and crimes against humanity, the United States, Britain, all these countries who are the main signatories to the Geneva Convention do not give a flying fuck about international law. International law is folly. International law is folly. It does not matter. International states can carry out whatever means they want to do whatever objective they want, and they will get off with it. And I think this is going to be the thing that sets the future. And that's the thing. I think obviously when the future comes to the future, obviously when like when our glorious day of the revolution comes, the our enemies, the state, the capitalists, the police, basically the enemy of working class, they will not stick to like crimes against humanity. Like, and I think all of us knew from the very beginning, Turkey, the Turkish state, the Grey Wolves, and all those who are embedded within the Turkish army would not care about international law because that's the Turks
Well,
have
that's
all.
not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that
Yeah.
this is, and a lot of people in Europe are very angry. The French are very angry because the Turks, killed one of their servicemen and injured 2 others. Well, they injured 3, and one of them later died of their
Please
injuries
don't lick
specifically.
me, Aya.
So,
Yeah.
what sanctions are being imposed, and the EU, well, certain parts of the EU, the NATO parts, are discussing a possible blockade of the Turks preventing heavy weapons shipping. But that's all outside of the scope. What is special about this compared to what, say, happens every day from the Americans in Afghanistan or Iraq is the deliberateness and the scale of these extermination of knowing civilian targets. This
Oh
is
yeah.
very much
Yeah.
on par with what the fucking, what are they called? Einsatzgruppen of the SS did. March
Yeah.
of villages.
Einsatzgruppen, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Einsatzgruppen.
exactly did, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is like obviously with stuff in the with Turkey and all that, is that the really really annoying thing is like that I get dear comrade who is in Serkania right now. The really fucking frustrating thing is that Trump last year was all in fucking favor of backing the Kurds and the Kurdish militia. But now he is fucking kowtowing to the Islamist fascistic regime of Erdogan. And
I can tell you. Sorry.
Go ahead, Crypto.
And these people who back Erdogan, who back Trump, that's the thing. Because here's the thing. Tankies and those who call themselves Marxist Leninists, and again, I'd say that the vast majority of these people who call themselves ML live in America and are a service to the fucking Leninist ideology. The people who call themselves Leninists in America, who say that Rojava should have expected this coming, allow me to basically here's the. If you were faced with fighting a fascistic Salafist ideology and a group that had a fanaticist, almost a fucking Judgment Day seeking ideology,
Your
do you
audio,
seriously expect?
your audio's cutting in and out, Crypto.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, real bad.
fuck's sake!
You're on a roll as well.
Right.
Oh, cutie.
Might be your internet. Is anyone else cutting out?
Yeah, I was just wondering if
I think
it
I'm
was just me.
fine.
But yeah, Crypto.
I'm 3 bars.
I mean,
Right.
I'm sitting out here in Australia on 4G, so
Right.
yay.
So anyway, to the MLs who say that the YPG, the YPG, the YPJ should have expected this shit to happen and should have allied with the sitting government instead, I say this to you. Did you really think that they would have allied with the people who have oppressed them, banned them from speaking their own fucking language, from naming their kids Kurdish names? Did you seriously think they were going to ally with those people against a fascistic state enemy who rather wish they were completely genocided and wiped out? Did you seriously expect that? And here's the thing. I offer this to all my comrades in Serkania, Tel Aviv, and all our comrades in Roja. Whether they are anarchists, Marxist, Leninists, Maoists, your genuine comrades in Europe and the United States stand with you. We do not stand with the Syrian government. We stand with you and alone. And God willing, the Turkish forces will be repelled from Rojava. They have already suffered heavy losses. Them and their jihadists have suffered heavy loss. We will repel, and democratic confederalism will bloom in northern Syria against the will of jihadists and against the will of fascists. We will prevail, Sir Captain.
Well, speaking of support for Kurds, so when earlier this week, the House had a vote on whether to reverse the decision to move back into Syria, move out of Syria rather, and
This is
won.
America.
Well, yeah, America. So the Congress said with a constitutional majority, yes, go back in. Now that cannot be vetoed by the president. So what the president did, because he's a petty little asshole that should never have gotten anywhere close to power, just basically forced everyone to go into a ceasefire. That was really just a capitulation to the Turks. And I have spoken to a lot of
I am so sorry about my dog. She likes to cry when mom comes home.
I reached out to a bunch of old acquaintances who have been or are in the American military. All of them, and I mean all of them, are incredibly appalled by what the president has done. I haven't spoken to a single American that thinks that this was either a good decision or that no, everyone thinks that this is fucked up. And I have people I've spoken to it. So when I hear a center-right fucking ex-US Air Force guy tell me that we should move back into Syria, I shit you not, his words, arm the PKK and start bombing the shit out of the Turks. I'm getting, very.
How badly do you have to screw up to get people on the right wanting to arm the PKK?
Bijou PKK.
Do one of the most unpopular things the US has done, by and large, since the fucking Vietnam War.
Bijou PKK, Bijou Seroka. Besarok Jana.
The American deployment in Syria was like the least controversial deployment of the US military in decades.
But they were specifically there to be a buffer between the SDF forces and Turkey, yeah? They were specifically
It was specifically that. No, they were there to fight ISIS as well. That was the main reason the international coalition was down there. But it was also to keep a buffer between the SDF and Assad, because they were playing the hands of the Russians, and now Trump has just given it up to the Russians basically.
Oh, this sounds like my cue. Because I've
Okay,
got a
go ahead.
I've got a rant. Okay, so
Also, before you do that, also the Turks are holding about 50 to 500, I can't remember how many exactly, US nuclear missiles hostage, which is highly illegal. That's against the Nuclear Weapon Proliferations Treaty. You go, Peter.
Okay, so, right. I'm going on my crypto tab here. I'm going to have mine. So, basically, militarily speaking, the Kurds are in a very poor position, except for the fact that now Syria and pretty much the entire free world, bar the one that actually fucking matters, is now involved in the defense of Kurdistan, which, given that the lack of headway that the Turks and the
the Turks have started to be pushed back before the ceasefire was called. The Kurds had retaken fucking Ras Al Ain and Tel Halaf, and were pushing back into Tel Abyad. But the Turks were losing. That's why they went to the Americans.
The Turkish army is getting kicked back out of Kurdistan. They didn't realize the level of guerrilla warfare they were going to encounter.
Well, they were fighting both guerrilla warfare and regular resistance. Yeah.
I think that's really funny is that the paramilitary units are just the Turkish paramilitary that were deployed in there have just gotten completely routed. They were completely obliterated.
And if I may really quickly, Erdogan and all those, I obviously know that obviously the Islamist jihadists will not be listening to this podcast, but any of those who sympathise with the Turkish state and those who sympathise with the Syrian state as well, you will never take Rojava. You will never take Kurdistan. You will never take the Kurdish people's self-empowerment. You will never take their dignity. You will never take their will to resist. They will resist to the fucking end. They will resist to the death. They will resist to the fucking death. Erdogan, you and your forces, your jihadist militants, will be fighting house to house, room to room, street by street, and every single one of your mercenaries will fucking perish.
Email doesn't advocate
violence. Okay.
It's not even the fucking, the Kurds are fighting also tooth and nail, but who's really fucking pissed are the Assyrians? Because, the Turks are burning down churches.
Obviously, yeah, because Turkey's invading their country, obviously.
Oh my god, the fucking... Right, so it was partially the large part of the Assyrian brigades that Ras Al Ain had been recaptured, who fucking just ran into the city and just started routing the Turkish forces and destroying several tanks with ATGMs and shit. But and captured a few IFVs as well. But what I think is something that I do kind of want to talk about before we let Peter go on his full-on rant. Turkish Twitter.
Oh.
Yeah. Fuck the Turks. Fuck everyone who allies with Erdogan. Every single one of them is worthy of the fucking bullet.
Even Twitter
Email does not advocate violence.
I like how crypto is the least crypto person.
Email might not advocate violence. I fucking...
But what EML does do, EML advocates for the dismantling of the Turkish state.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through whatever means necessary, at least in my case.
And the beheading of every single Turkish grey wolf fascist.
The Posadist...
After a fair trial.
The Posadist position...
Fair trials, just kill them.
Alright.
The Posadist position... The Posadist position is very clear. The Posadist position is very clear. Given proper access to thermonuclear devices, I would simply say it's time for some Armenian payback. Moving on.
Exactly. Long live the Shahid Naber Azanian Battalion.
Peter.
Yeah.
What you gotta do, since the Turks are holding U.S. nukes hostage, yes?
Oh well, you read my mind with that.
You
read
know
my
what you
mind.
do, right?
So
It's a very strict policy.
No, wait, guys, hold on. You nuke the nukes because Turquía delenda est.
Exactly.
Turquía delanda الموت لتركيا.
So I'm just.
الموت لتركيا.
So I just got a
Okay,
question.
even better.
So around the world, there have been solidarity protests to condemn the invasion of Rojava. The IWW actually has been very active in condemning Turkey and their attacks. But what about the international response? Because I heard that even Russia says that Turkey is being a big meanie poo-poo head.
Right.
But
It's an extent for them to fucking flex their fucking muscle in the region that the United States. This is geopolitics. It's Russia attempting to flex their muscle in a region that the United States has left behind. Although I will not blame the Kurdish forces for choosing the United States and the Syrian government over America, because America has pulled it, and that's the thing. I will not blame them, and I challenge every single tanky out there who says that the YPG and the YPG are pieces of shit for allying with the United States. I challenge you to tell them, what would you have done when fascists were at the gates and were about to fucking kill and behead your people? And and that's the thing. I fully support the YPG and the YPG doing whatever is necessary to preserve the the only living example, minus our dear comrades in the EZLN, the only example of libertarian socialism that exists in the world today. If the YPG and the YPG need to preserve that by allying with Russia and the Syrian government against a fascist, imperialist, colonialist power that is Turkey under Recep Tayyip Erdogan, so be it.
I'll tell you, Crypto. I'll tell you what the tankies would have done. They would have signed a non-aggression pact with the fascists and let them carry out their extermination in peace like they did last time.
Moving
on.
Pac-Man. You're forgetting the thing that comes the next year. You have talks with the fascists to join their faction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, you gotta collaborate to get rid of the fucking, nasty Turks who don't want, like, a huge state, like, controlling everything they fucking do, and,
they
should just lay down and take it like good proles.
It's not so they want to rebuild the fucking Ottoman Empire.
For those of you that are not aware of what I'm speaking of, I'm not speaking of the Ribbentrop Pact. I'm talking about the Germany-Soviet talks of 1940, in which the Soviet Union was prospecting to join the Axis powers.
Oh, not just that.
But that's just a CIA psyop, actually. Clearly that didn't really happen.
You see, Khrushchev lied, guys. Khrushchev lied, guys.
Stalin was a fascist wrapped in a red cloak. Tanky suck my fucking knob.
Alright, I need you all.
Guys, I need you all to calm down a little. We're all yelling over each other, and we're not going to be heard by anyone if we keep talking over each other. Now, who has something to say, please speak up.
Okay, that would be me. Okay.
Go ahead.
My rant got derailed about 30 seconds in. Okay, so first off, just a final dig at what we were all talking about before. I'll tell you what else happens. You sign a trade deal where you provide 88% of the oil that they used to invade you. But moving on. Read your books, kids. Tanky's BTFO. Yeah, that's right. We're going full sectarianism this stream. Don't give a fuck. Okay. All right, so now back on track. One thing that really bothers me about Syria, and the thing that I was tempted to make a non-anime video for once, shock, was the fact that Trump, in his infinite wisdom, has single-handedly reversed the foreign policy work of the United States of the past 70 years. Literally, during the Cold War period, all the way up to the Gulf War, up to now, literally every major foreign policy victory that the United States has achieved has been undone in the space of 3 years by this one man. Like, communists we are. We don't like the Americans. Fair enough, right? But here's the thing. Robert Mack, you know, the defense minister of the United States, yes, they fucked up Vietnam because we're awesome. But more importantly, all the backroom deals about Laos and Cambodia and all the geopolitical maneuvering, the turning the Chinese against the Vietnamese, all the sort of, you know, the Cuban Missile Crisis resolution, all these backhanded deals were across the world. America supporting its allies. America arming the Mujahideen, which turned out really well for them in the long run. But, you know, all these different foreign policy victories and even the foreign policy defeats that have been done all throughout US history, this complex web of alliances and international trade and bilateral agreements and the procuring of US bases, all this wonderful work that they've done over the past 70 years, Trump has simply erased it. What kind of a message does it say? Australia at the moment is a signatory to the ANZUS Treaty. It's why we're in Iraq and Afghanistan. They called the Australian and New Zealand forces into the war on terror. What Trump has basically done by pulling out of Kurdistan is say, oh, it doesn't matter if you have a bilateral defense treaty. We're not going to help you. If you get invaded by Russia or fucking China, doesn't matter. It doesn't benefit us, so we're going to pull out. We're going to leave you. See you. Thank you. Goodbye. And the American people is just, oh!
That's the thing. Is like I think this sets a precedent for obviously here's the thing that obviously our more social democrat aligned audience will not agree with. Trump is headed for a second term in office.
I disagree.
No,
Not anymore.
No. Here's the thing. Who's gonna oppose him? Joe Biden?
Oof.
Who like? Can you
Warren.
Can you seriously see Joe Biden getting in office against Trump?
No, it's going to be Warren at this point if it's anyone.
No.
Joe Biden's fucked.
I think
Bold of you
honestly,
to assume the Dems will try anything other than run themselves into the ground, to be quite honest.
they
Look,
won't.
already
Maybe they'll do something different, maybe, but
Look.
I'm not holding my breath.
Look,
yeah.
Joe, listen, guys.
Here's the thing.
One thing
Dev's trying
first.
to talk.
Joe Biden just found out he had dementia for the 3rd time this week. Come on.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? He should be fucking dead already. The fucking
I
mobile
wish.
gun should
I
fucking
wish.
die.
I wish.
Jesus Christ.
God,
And that's like-
He'll learn the
And
4th
that's
time
like
in about 2
the
hours.
thing that irritates me. The thing that irritates me is the American well, not the American left, but those seem to think a lot of American leftists are so preoccupied with getting Trump out of office. They do not care that he is probably most likely going to be sitting a second term in office. They seem to think they're in denial. They're shoving their head in the sand. And this is the thing. We need to stop, like, you know, denying ourselves and stop, you know, playing ourselves. The worst case scenario, we are living in the worst case scenario.
In a society?
We are living in the worst case scenario. We need to stop trying to stop the worst case scenario from happening because it's already. We need to start preparing for it.
I think the biggest thing that's going to happen here, the biggest problem we do have, is the fact that I'm not
There we
really
go.
convinced that Trump's going to get a second term, mainly
Yeah,
because his
me
own
neither.
party is going to shaft him. Not like this. From what I've spoken to a lot of people similar to Theo's friends, including my best friend who you've all heard before or seen. Every member of the U.S. military I've spoken to, yes, I'm an imperialist bootlicker, sue me. I have a lot of friends in the U.S. military and a lot of friends in a lot of militaries around the world because of the circles I mix in. And the funny thing is, everybody's furious. Like, I'm pretty sure the Special Forces guys were probably on the border of mutiny. Okay,
Gee.
they were ordered to, like, you got to look at it this way. The brotherhood formed between soldiers in combat is something that you can't actually quantify. It's probably the strongest bond that you can have. It's why comradeship amongst leftists is so strong, because at the end of the day, we rely on each other and no one else. Now we haven't been tested in fire yet. These guys have. And the thing is, these special forces guys who have fought and died next to the Kurds for the past, in terms of undercover in the rebels in Kurdistan during the Iraq War and so forth, Iraqi Kurdistan and so forth, you're talking about people who've been fighting and dying with each other for 10 years. And they're suddenly told by their leaders, abandon your friends. Leave them. They're not important. Go home. We're going to abandon our friends. We're going to leave them there to the mercy of an enemy who wants to ethnically cleanse them. No way.
Adding to that the Kurds have a nearly spotless record in their cooperation. According to interviewed SF members, that it was the most pleasant experience that they've ever had in a combat situation was working with the Kurdish people.
I think one of the operators, my friend 1Some41, he's not in the chat at the moment. I don't know if he is. He told me about an interview, and the interview, a special forces man posted in Kurdistan, simply said, and he said these exact words: "For the first time in my military career, I feel ashamed." And I believe he's ashamed of his country. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, in terms of, this is the worst foreign policy disaster in recent American history, I would say.
Wasn't there a top US general, like 4 or 5 stars or some shit, who was saying that he's highly disappointed in the president's actions, which is like
a
big thing to say from a top general.
A representative in the U.S. Senate said, "God forgive us."
Yeah.
The Democratic senators and Republican senators have formed a broad front to sort of basically go, this is fucked up. Why the fuck did we pull out? This is stupid. The vote to go back in, there it is. The vote to go back in passed with a majority of, hold on, let me see this. Yeah. So, the House votes overwhelmingly 354 to 60 to oppose the decision to end certain U.S. efforts to prevent Turkish military operation against Syrian forces in northeast Syria. That's a constitutional majority. 3-4.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, 2/3.
Yeah,
over 2/3. And then, yeah, Trump threw a hissy fit and basically went, well, you see, I'm gonna do it anyway because you told me no.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Trump
People-
literally behaves like a fucking pissed off toddler.
This thing is that people are relying on liberal democracy to save our comrades in northern Syria. Who are going to, like, that's the thing. People are relying on liberal democracy to save comrades. People are relying on the United States to vote against this. They will not vote against this. Trump is going to do it anyway. To be honest, the second we stop relying on these pricks, these capitalist motherfuckers.
I don't think anyone's relying on it, but that doesn't mean you can't hope for them to do something. There's a difference there.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is hoping for it. At the same time, we are hoping for the heart of capitalism, the heart of international capitalism. We are hoping them to side with a libertarian socialist project that is allied with probably the second largest army in NATO. Trump is not going to give a shit. Trump doesn't give. Trump doesn't
but
give a
pretty
shit
much
about
everyone else in America does at this point.
This is the thing.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter.
I disagree.
I disagree.
It matters in the long run because it makes a lot of people incredibly disillusioned.
It is a radicalizing determinant.
It's
like, will liberal
Senator, go ahead.
democracy do anything satisfactory about this? No. And expecting them to is wrong, but here's the thing. People are gonna see that it failed.
Yes, and then they're going to get angry.
Anything. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, people are going to say
People,
that people are going to say that it's failed, but the main issue is that not enough people are going to see that it's failed to actually do anything about it.
I mean,
People are like people
okay,
who have
again,
had doubts in this. Like, here's the thing: the people who have had doubts in the system from the very beginning, sure, they're going to see that something has failed. The vast majority of people in the United States do not give a shit about our Kurdish comrades. They don't give a shit about our comrades in
I-
North Syria.
okay,
They
I
don't
spoke.
care.
Crypto, let me finish, please. Thank you.
I mean, like, I was speaking, but go ahead.
Oh, you cut out then. Sorry.
Go on.
As I said, a lot of well, basically all of the people that I talked to who are or were in the U.S. military have expressed their emotions of
Outrage.
they feel disillusioned. They're
angry.
Yeah, in the way that they described it they felt helpless, is I think the words that one of my friends used.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
Our
and one of them
Well-
straight up asked me, "Well, what can we do?"
Oh,
Gun.
we've got an answer for you, don't we?
Allow us to introduce ourselves.
Yes. That's sort of on that note. Quick detour there. I just wanted to throw this in here as a cat amongst the pigeons. Gets me cancelled on Leftbook pretty much every day, but I'm going to throw this out here. You've got a large array of emotionally crippled, mentally disturbed due to combat experience, disillusioned, angry with society, trained killers. Now, I don't know about you, but in a revolutionary situation, they would sound pretty fucking useful. Just.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I
I'm gonna
hear upon.
The whole thing.
As for the general public outside of the military, let me tell you one thing about US culture. They dogmatically respect troops. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
troops are universally against something and talking about how horrible it is, you can bet that influence will spread. Because
Oh, yeah.
the families of these troops will take it seriously. And their friends will then take it seriously. This will spread.
I've read
I-
a
Well-
fucking. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but I've read like a rumor that one of the special forces members that was originally down there and then got transferred out and is now out requested a discharge from the military and has gone off the grid, presumably to go down to Syria to join the YPG.
Oh shit.
I mean, this is what I'm sort of saying. The United States Navy, the most powerful projection force in the world. There's one carrier in the Mediterranean which we know about, and I would assume, I'm not certain, but I would assume that forced redeployments would occur. Given that they have one in the Indian Ocean and one in the Atlantic, I would assume that given a week or so, you could have 3 aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean off the coast of Syria tomorrow.
Less
Like,
than that, 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5 days, 3 days. Like,
I'll be right
Regardless-
back, by the way. I'll be right back.
Right, but regardless, what I would say is like the best thing that our comrades internationally can do is start forming networks, start creating international solidarity events with Rojava, and start showing solidarity with our comrades in northern Syria.
Hmm.
Because obviously, no one else is going to fucking. No state is going to do it. No government is going to do it. No government is officially going to do it.
it's
It's
a
like,
shame,
they
Crypto.
Yeah,
weren't actually
Northern-
here last week. Because you missed me calling the Turkish embassy and asking
Yes.
them why they're carrying the genocide.
Call them
burn
again.
every
Call again.
fucking burn every fucking
Bum.
Turkish embassy belonging to the Turkish state.
Email does not
Uh,
advocate violence.
Email does not advocate violence.
Email does not advocate
yeah,
violence.
yeah.
Email does not
But
here's the
advocate
thing.
violent
Okay,
diplomatic
hold on,
Fucking
hold on.
is, but regardless, I would say every single comrade who is listening, no matter what, start forming affinity groups, start forming groups to defend Rojava, start forming groups, start doing demonstrations and direct actions outside Turkish embassies and in Turkish embassies, regardless of whatever happens. Defend Rojava, defend our comrades, and here's the thing. Because of how far it has gone, and that's I feel like everybody has gone into fucking panic mode about Rojava. This is going to be fucking slaughtered by the Turkish state. Rojava will not get up. Rojava will not die. Ditch this defeatist mentality. It is not going to die. Rojava will fight to its last fucking breath.
Thank you, Comrade
Ditch.
Zordon. He just gave us a...
Defeat.
Zordon returns.
Thank you, Comrade Zordon. What I would say is, ditch the defeatist mentality. We will not lose. Rojava will continue. It will thrive. It will succeed. Do you want to know why? Because it's been kept up for God knows how many years. It's not going to die now.
All right. We could probably talk for like another hour on this topic, and we've already gone for 40 minutes now. Perhaps that's a good point for us to move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
And this is to the subject of Catalonia.
Yes, I just want to remind everyone to like and subscribe, and to notice that there's a donation link down below, and when you do donate, you get there's an example, Comrade John donating 52, and a special example, Comrade Zordon, who donated just before $10. Thank you, Comrade Zordon, who says, sorry for my absence these last few weeks. Thank you, comrades, for another great live show. By the way, Drunk Crypto is on point. He is very much so.
I feel like here's Drunk
I
Crypto
love
may
my
be on-
very angry drunk boyfriend.
Drunk Crypto might be on point, but Drunk Crypto might be on point, but he's working in fucking 9 hours. So I do this thing for you guys.
Oh, cutie. Implying you wouldn't be staying up doing something else if this wasn't what was going on.
Fuck it. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Anyway, so
Firefox
to the subject of.
Wait, why is Thea really quiet?
Me?
I don't know. Hang on.
That's
No,
not
it's,
Thea,
uh,
that's
That's Pac-Man. So, while Pac-Man finishes his
Oh,
order,
Pac-Man.
what we're basically...
Oh,
Wait one sec.
I think they're both quiet. Oh.
What we're gonna be talking about is
I'm back.
recent events happening in Catalonia, where I believe it was like 10 or 12 organizers of the independence movement have been sentenced to some time in jail, I believe.
Like 10 years.
10
Over
yeah.
a
Yo,
decade.
can you guys hear me now? Hey, can you
Yeah.
guys hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear
Okay,
Pac-Man.
one thing. Only Bro asked me a question in the chat, or Firefox actually asked me a question in the chat. No, the Turkish consulate didn't get back to me. I was very disappointed.
Call again. Call again.
I'm not going to call them again. I don't want the AFP kicking in my door.
So what we have in
I mean, they're probably going to anyway.
What we have in response in Catalonia is a massive general strike that has shut down Barcelona. But what you also have is a bunch of Francoist fascists coming out of the woodworks to try to beat up on
Those people.
essentially our comrades in Barcelona. And I think
Exactly.
I think Crypto, you wanted to take the lead on this one.
Yes. So, my very dear comrades, if I may, the situation in Catalonia, those who have been following it will know that Catalonia has been doing a bid for independence for the past 2 years. There was a wildcat independence referendum in October 2017, where a vast majority of people turned out in favour of independence. How the Spanish government sent in both police and troops to beat down independence supporters with the backing of the European Union, I may add. And basically all that shit happened, and basically the separatist leaders fled, and now they have basically been captured and sentenced to almost 13 years in jail apiece
Jesus.
for simply holding a an independence referendum. Now, the independence movement in Catalonia, which those of our comrades will know is very much a hotbed for revolution, sentiment, revolutionary activity, revolutionary movements, revolutionary Catalonia, so on and so forth. They have risen up. They occupied Barcelona airport. They have basically shut down Barcelona. They've called for a general strike, and I would like to mention this in context with the UK as well. Obviously, I'm not sure in which direction this is going to go, but what I can tell you is the one thing I should mention is Spanish Unionists, the Spanish fascists aligned with the Spanish Spanish fascists, have shown up to protest in Barcelona and have actually beaten the shit out of pro-Catalan independence support. I would like to move this on to the subject of Scottish independence. Now, you might be asking why. You might be asking, Scotland and Catalonia over the past couple of years have enjoyed very close solidarity and very close support, but obviously this shit's been going down in Catalonia. But I would like to announce to those who may not have heard, Scotland, the government of Scotland under First Minister Nicola Sturgeon of the Scottish National Party, has declared that a second independence referendum will take place next year.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Now, here's the thing. The British government over the past year or two has said that a Scottish independence referendum will not happen. Basically, in terms of Scottish independence, the Scottish government must go down to Westminster and must request a Section 30. The Section 30 is the legal right to call a referendum to leave the United Kingdom. Now, the British government has already said that it's not going to happen, and I can guarantee you the British government will be staying very intently at the protests that are happening in Catalonia just now, and basically looking at tips and tricks to happen. This is another thing. The stuff that has been happening recently, and I only bring this up because it might be used for any of our dear comrades in Scotland, like myself, who might be taking part in pro-independence demonstrations.
Perhaps.
The stuff that has happened over the past 2 days with the accursed state-backed opposition that is Extinction Rebellion.
Oof.
Continental Pro.
The British government has been experimenting in crowd control tactics, and I can bet you anything that if Scotland goes for Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister of Scotland and leader of the Scottish National Party, the main party propositioning independence, has said that if the British government refuses the Section 30 order for Scotland to seek independence, she will seek legal. Now, if that fails, and I think it will fail, because that's the thing, the British government, British courts, the Supreme Court, they're in favour of England's domineering position over the rest of the UK. If that gets rejected, and it will get rejected, I can guarantee you that the British government is looking very intently at what's going on in Catalonia right now as a means to control the Scottish people. And here's the thing. There will absolutely be people in Scotland who will react just as much as the British Unionists in Glasgow, who on September the 19th, 2014, the day after the Scottish independence referendum, burnt the Scottish flag. I shit you not. These people who call themselves Scottish burnt the Scottish flag in favour of the British flag, in favour of the British government, an occupying power, and a colonial power, an imperialist power, and I can guarantee guarantee you, even though if Scotland went independent, and I can guarantee you it's going to happen, these loyalist fuckheads will march out onto the street and will start attacking Scottish independence supporters. So the question, comrades, I think the question that can be taken from this is, how do we support comrades in places like Scotland and Catalonia and the Basque Country, and obviously places like where the struggle of national liberation comes into question? Because obviously, I've heard a lot of they say they're anarchists, but they're very much Puritans. They think that national liberation is an irrelevant struggle. So I ask you, my dear comrade. So, in the future, is the pro-independence, and obviously we can link this into to Hong Kong as well. That's more that's field of expertise. Is it worth backing these independence movements, no matter what come of it, whether that be Scotland, Catalonia, Hong Kong, so on and so forth?
My stance on Hong Kong is still a defeatist stance because there's not been any revolutionary group. If a group were somehow to be revolutionary and do such a thing, then I would be more inclined to support it.
Sorry.
But I'm not going to support liberal self-determinists.
Sorry, I'll be right back. Very sorry.
I just wanted to let you guys know, in the interim while Crypto was going on his pro-Scottish rant, which I thoroughly approve of, because I'm wondering, is there a full Gaelic version of "Come Out, Ye Black and Tans"? We need to update it for Scotland. What but
now.
that's what I'm saying. We need some good anti-fascist music, because my message to Scottish loyalists at this, with the advent of Boris Johnson and the absolute shit show of the Conservative Party, my opinion on Scottish independence is pretty much dissolve the union at this point.
Scottish Socialist Republic now, boys, and actually even free territory of Alapa.
Look, I'll be honest with you.
Of Alapa.
It's gonna be a centre-left social democratic state with a nationalist government, and what I'm hoping is if Scotland does get its independence, that will separate Northern Ireland by 2 degrees, and that means all the counties will be back in the Republic where they fucking belong.
It's gonna happen.
Where they fucking belong. EML does advocate the reunification of Ireland.
32 County United Socialist Republic. And the whole thing is, like, obviously with Northern Ireland, I would like to put this forward to any comrades who are following, obviously, the Brexit negotiations.
Which they've succeeded in getting a deal Brexit. Fucking how, I don't...
Yeah, they might have succeeded. Well, they claim they've succeeded in getting a deal. What I will say to all comrades in the UK who are listening, stop hope for a deal. Stop hoping for Corbyn to save everything.
Actually, that was
pressure.
Sorry to interrupt. That was actually originally going to be the thing we were going to talk about, which was that Boris Johnson had apparently secured a deal for Brexit, but Jeremy Corbyn and the opposition...
We haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
Corbyn can go and fuck himself, and I don't give a shit how many fucking so-called leftists crucify me for it.
Fuck Corbyn, fuck electoralists.
I'm just wondering about the Overton window.
Corbyn can fuck off and die. Now, what I will say, comrades in the UK, we need to stop hoping for a deal. We just stop hoping for this to end peacefully. There is no way for this to end peaceably. It's not going to happen. Because Corbyn is more concerned with getting into power than preserving peace in Ireland. So he's going to reject this deal. Jean-Claude Juncker and the European Union have already said there will be no more extension. We need to stop delaying the inevitable. We need to stop preparing to delay the inevitable. We need to start preparing for the inevitable. We need to start preparing for a no deal. We need to start organising pro-independence movement in Scotland. We need to start organising pro-Republican movements in Northern Ireland. We need to start organising these things. We need to start organising the break-up and the dissolution of the United Kingdom. And in my opinion, those who are like prolonging the inevitable, that is Britain leaving the European Union, saying, "Oh, it's not going to happen. It's just going to be endless legal stuff. It's never going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Get your head out of the fucking sand and realize that this is going to happen. Start organizing your communities, start working together, and start realizing that now in the coming years is going to come the collapse of capitalism, and now we need to start building movements, we need to start building organizations, we need to start building working class solidarity. It needs
Crypto.
to happen.
Two things. I'm going to paraphrase Lenin and say that we should shift the rifle from one shoulder to the other, meaning shoot the queen and then shoot the bourgeoisie. Metaphorically, of course, because EML does not advocate violence.
EML does not advocate violence.
And the second is that a recession is coming. It is coming. Imminently coming. And you know what's more important than just about anything in that situation? Food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get you guys to give me a bit of feedback on this. Because I'm on my phone right now, I actually can't call the Spanish consulate. So I've got an email here that I want to check with you.
Hold on.
At this time, there is a mass movement in Catalonia for their independence from Spain, and as a result, there has been multiple illegal arrests of Catalonian activists. Their treatment by the police and the constant actions of the Spanish government to undermine and persecute Catalonian citizens are of great concern. Their rights to free speech and assembly are being violated. A referendum must be called immediately. I await your response.
Damn, all of the consulates are closed.
Pretty concise, I like it.
Yeah.
Call the one in Morocco. Call the Spanish consulate in Morocco. They're open. Do it.
So a little
Do it.
while
I don't have international calls.
So a little while ago, I made a tweet that referenced a joke, and my tweet said, you know that joke how you can watch the real-time collapse of society on your phone? It's not a joke anymore. So in that vein, do you think? Yeah, do you think that what's happening in Catalonia and Scotland and Hong Kong and whatnot, is this one of those big, just after the century changes of history that we'll look back on in textbooks kind of thing? Or is it just a lot of people just want to get angry for a bit and then everything will go back to normal? Or is this it? Is this the big one?
That's the thing. I doubt it. At the stage that we are at just now, people are beginning to realise that electoral politics is failing them. They're beginning to realise that status politics and voting for people is failing them. And obviously, like the people in Catalonia will be realising this, no doubt. That voting for people, voting for elected heads of state, all that has led them to is literally having a boot shoved down their throat by the Spanish state. And I think that's what Scottish people are going to realise when our second bid for independence gets refused.
Okay.
That's
just to I put it in EWC green room chat just to prove I'm not a pussy.
Sent.
Fuck's sake. Let's see if they get me in.
Fucking do
Let's
it,
see
mate.
if they give me a. Let's see if they respond to me.
I
Um,
love how your email, if I may read it out, lists your name as
Yeah.
Positus Pac-Man.
at gmail.com. So yes,
But-
exactly.
What I will say about obviously our comrades in Catalonia right now, hold firm, hold strong against the fascist ties that are binding you from independence. Hold strong, hold fight, hold, keep fighting. Do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give a single inch to Franco's successor. Do not give a fucking single inch to them. And obviously, when our day comes in Scotland and Ireland and so on and so forth, hold firm. Do not go back to the old ways. Do not go back to being shackled to an imperialist colonial power. Do not accept that. Decide that you have had enough and throw away, cast off the shackles of the past. Cast it off. Determine your own destiny for your own people and determine your own future.
Okay. In response to that, does that mean if we can take this to its ultimate conclusion, rather, does that mean we can balkanize Italy?
Yes.
Let's balkanize Italy. Let's fucking balkanize it.
The
Balkanize
unification
Italy.
of Italy was a mistake. Even
Balkanize
according...
Italy, balkanize the United States. It's like, here's the
Balkanized
thing.
Australia.
The United States. The
interesting thing.
The United States is going to be balkanized either way, and I don't see anyone. It's going to be balkanized. I don't see.
Nah,
anyone
man,
that-
I agree.
It's going to have to be.
I'm
It's
going to
gonna
vote
have
yes
to
on
be.
Texit. Texit needs to happen.
Texit.
Even-
Texit, Calexit, who gives a fucking shit?
Or
Even
Texit is the greatest thing ever.
Guys,
Independent Texas.
guys.
Let's go.
even the Italian Marxists in the turn of the 20th century were saying the reunification of Italy was a mistake.
Yeah, man. Just
Shit.
we bring back the two Sicilies. We bring back the Napoli collective. We bring back Sicily as its own independent country. Fucking the Milanese collective. We the Venetian Republic. We bring literally the whole thing. We just balkanize it. Every state of Italy is now its own country.
And
That
I'd
would
like
probably improve the stability of the country. To be quite honest.
what I would say to all comrades, to all fellow comrades in Scotland who are listening, what I would say now is the perfect opportunity to start organising. Now is the perfect opportunity to start forming links, to start networking, to start going underground and to start forming these pacts and bonds of solidarity. Because when the time comes, when the British government denies us our right to our legal destiny and our future as enshrined to by the grace of our birth, by the grace of our future, the only people who will come to save us is us. We are the only people who will save us. We must save ourselves. Now is the time to start networking, to start organising, and to start preparing for the worst possible scenario. Scotland will be free from the ocean to the sea. Sursa Gibra, Chalky Arla.
Goddamn.
Rise,
Wow.
ye workers, from your slumber.
Slumber.
God.
Arise, ye prisoners of war.
Listen, fellas, we gotta realize that the working class has to fulfill its world historic purpose by eliminating class, including the working class.
Only Bro 555 says, at Theo the Commie, should Tyrol be Soviet Republic in the United Union of Austrian Soviets or an independent socialist country?
I will also be right back. I'm gonna get something to eat. Hold on a second.
Hi, kitty.
Theo, are you there?
Yes, I'm
Nuts.
here. Yes, I'm here. It was doing weird things. Sorry.
All good.
It's okay, baby.
We had a question about if Tyrol should be a separate socialist country or if it should be part of the United Union of Austrian Soviets.
I mean, nothing different about Turkey from any other state. The only difference is that the Italians annexed part of it after the First World War.
Hmm. I guess that raises another question. When we have independent movements like Catalonia and Scotland, for some reason,
We what
it's-
probably well.
yeah, for some reason it's like it's supportable. You know, it's a good thing, kind of because Scotland getting away from the UK weakens the UK. Catalonia getting away from Spain, you know, weakens and pisses off the Francoist fascists. Yet for places
Yeah, I'm
like
gonna be quite honest. Even if these like separation movements aren't, you know, entirely leftist, although they definitely have leftist elements that shouldn't be ignored, I support them just for the sake that breaking up these, you know, countries into smaller chunks weakens their power.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
It
think
helps
something.
us.
I don't think something like that's gonna pop up for South Tyrol anytime soon. But that's because they have their big autonomy and they don't care about where they are. They really don't give a shit. At least the things are now. If the Italians decide
I
to
love-
impose direct rule, that might change.
I love how this stream just literally turned into agitation for insurrection against the government. EML does not advocate violence.
when the shit hits
Eastern
the fan,
marshlands does not advocate violence.
when the shit hits the fan in any way, the government is gonna look out for itself. Case in point, I'm gonna sound like the biggest fucking boomer right now, but climate change is causing a bunch of towns in regional Australia to dry up, literally. There's no water there. And the farmers there are all going out of business because their livestock doesn't have water and they can't be fed. So what's happening? The government is doing nothing. Nothing. The government is going to help the farmers. The farmers have to get help locally. That's where, you know, locally organizing comes in. So, case in point, when the shit really starts hitting the fan, you're not going to be able to turn to, you know, government handouts and whatnot. You're going to have to turn to your neighbor. And if you're not organized, you're not turning to your neighbor for help, you're turning to your neighbor to steal what resources they have, probably.
Well, I mean, I'm all about smashing the state. I'm about smashing every state. It's just whether we can use the land afterward that might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, my friend Smiley, our friend Smiley, he bought that one of crypto shirts that says "Burn every flag, smash every border."
Well, you know, I can approve of this, but honestly, the Unitary Earth Socialist Republic will be a great thing. We need it up and running in time for the Space Comrades to help us, in my opinion, anyway.
I really think that the Space Comrades are just like got a secret observation point on the moon, and they're watching us with like a big bucket of popcorn, thinking, "Oh, any day now they're gonna nuke themselves. This is great."
You see, this is the thing. Socialism of the impossible versus socialism of the inevitable. It's a real theory. You can look it up, my man.
I'm starting to be like, what is this thing you call positivism?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It starts as a meme, but to be honest,
Yeah.
the way the world's going, Posadism seems more and more appealing. He was right, guys. I'm telling you. He was right.
Well,
Posadas was right.
Do you think like all of these world events and what we've talked about on the stream so far, do you think that's we can use or explain to, you know, liberals in the correct way to sort of radicalize them? Because I believe someone was saying, you know, oh, the electoral system is just not helping people. Is that our time? You know, allow ourselves to introduce ourselves.
Well, I think that, as I said, I think that Mr. Manzielli, otherwise known as Juan Posadas, is 100% correct. The dialectic must advance. And not only that, we must accelerate it. All, like, that's the thing. I want to balkanize everywhere. It's the same thing.
In a split
I
second,
want to-
with a bright light, balkanize everything.
not even with nuclear weapons. Maybe through climate change. Maybe through political unrest. Maybe through mass migration. Doesn't matter what
All
it
of the
is.
above.
Perhaps
All of the
even
above
through
at
a
the
second
same
term
time.
of Trump.
Yeah. A second term of Trump would be preferable to someone like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I would prefer more Trump than some corporate Democrat, because all we're going to get with corporate Democrats is stagnation, endless. It's, the thing is, you can see it. The left wing parties, quotation marks, the left wing parties of all our social democracies, like the Labour Party in Australia, is a key example. Have you noticed that the Labour Party, in its policies, since Gough Whitlam, has steadily been moving to the right every year?
Oh yeah.
They've gone full fucking Blairite.
Yeah,
Our
we
party, our Labour Party in Australia has gone full fucking Blairite, and the British Labour Party is trying to recover from New Labour, but Jeremy Corbyn keeps cucking out every time he tries to fucking do something about it. And so, like, in all seriousness, if the choice is have these fucking sock dems and liberals try to bail water out of the sinking ship, or you have Boris, Erdogan, Trump, all these people fucking stepping on the gas and accelerating the contradictions, invading countries they shouldn't be invading, breaking up countries, independence for Scotland and Ireland, like all these different things. This is a good thing. If nothing else, it accelerates it.
Yeah. The only thing that can fight the fire, that is the acceleration of the British government and the American government, the Australian government, the only thing that can fight that acceleration, you cannot put the brakes on the shit. Put the brakes on it and go back to fucking social democracy, go back on the fucking brakes to fucking liberalism, to mainstream Toryism. Fuck that. Fuck anyone who says we should go back to that. We are in the struggle to win or to die. To win or to lose. Fuck anyone who says we should go back to that shit. We are at the period in history. We are at the period in history where it is win or die. And I am, and our comrades and our cause and those who represented it, we will not die. We have waited 3 centuries. We have waited 3 centuries, 4 centuries even, for our revolution to take hold. It is now upon us. Capitalism is dying. Fuck anyone who says we should maintain it any longer.
Yes,
Also,
let the Posadism
other thing that is worth noting about it is this is probably our last chance if we want to still have a planet to live on and all that nice stuff.
Fuck the
we've got
planet.
about 10 years before the damage is irreversible, and obviously our primary concerns once we win, regardless of when that is probably damage control. Let's be realistic, for all the climate stuff, including areas around the equator just being completely unlivable, possibly even having some... There's all sorts of shit. I could get into it. I could get into that forever.
I hate to agree with the eco-terrorists here, but I'm going to be quite blunt. I have a solution for this issue. We can't have environmental degradation if there aren't humans around to degrade it.
Email does not advocate violence.
I'm just saying, nuclear war doesn't necessarily have to be the only.
Alright, we once again could probably talk for
Another
hours on end on this one.
My final word on it is another end of the world is possible. Revolt, overthrow capitalism, institute socialism. another
Alright.
end of the world as possible.
Plant
Fellas,
foot on the accelerator. Plant
we've been
foot on the
going on so
accelerator.
long that I need to go.
Oh, you got
So, my closing words, not only Turquía delende est, but capitales delende est.
Ah, yes. But not only that,
I'm dying.
Dengist delenda est, because we've been ranting for so long that we haven't been able to have.
delende est.
Yeah,
Now-
well, this is the thing. We've been going on for so long. Dip Dap
Yeah,
hasn't
this
been able to
brings
do the
up-
dab on Dengist
China.
half hour.
Delende est.
This brings up just one little thing that I've been kind of wanting to talk about for a little while now, but it's really kind of clicking together, I think.
Go, Senna, go.
We
Go,
keep
Senna,
talking
go.
about, you know, Dengis and Red Fash who are like siding with fucking, you know, Turkey and all this other bullshit. And the thing is, these people know how to talk in such a way that makes them seem like they are genuinely leftists, like they're revolutionaries. But if you look at who they actually support, not only is it just often out and out fascist, but it always directly goes against. Oh boy, how do I?
I guess my
phrase?
remark then will be before I head out. So, first, Dengists aren't communists.
Oof.
Shit, son.
Now, how do I put this part? They always go against groups who are trying to have that basic autonomy of, hey, we should get to decide how we live, and we should be able to live in the place we've always lived in. Whether it be any sort of native people's struggles, anything of that nature, they always go against it. And notice how pretty much all the time, these groups are composed almost entirely of white people, some of which who've been outed to actually be rather wealthy, either in the US and in some cases Western Europe, though it's definitely worse in the US. At least in my experience.
Actually, Senna, I was going to jump in here just for a second, because keep on with your rant. But I was going to say, I had this conversation with V the other night. I think it was V. Actually, V and Scotty, I was having this conversation with them. These tankies, and let's be frank, they are tankies in the US. A lot of US tankies, especially from the upper middle class strata, their sole political position, they call it the anti-imperialist struggle, or the anti-empire struggles, the AES struggles, or whatever you want to call it. They claim that, but literally, their only political position is America bad. And
yes,
it's
they
it's
only
to
care
the
about
extent
imperialism if the US did it, and often they don't talk much about the imperialism the US has actually done unless it's, you know, going against supposed actually existing socialism countries.
And what I said was,
Which are often,
was,
you know, the world's superpowers, which is quite interesting.
To quote me directly here, to quote me 2 nights ago directly here, if it wasn't for Operation Barbarossa, it would literally be critical support for Nazi Germany against American. It would be. They would say that.
Jesus Christ.
The communist resistance, the Marxist-Leninist resistance movement in France did not engage the occupying German forces until after they invaded the Soviet Union. You can look it up. In fact, they collaborated with the Nazis. And this is the thing that really fucks me off, and that I agree with Senna wholeheartedly. It's a bunch of white middle-class LARPers who, when confronted with reality, don't see 2 inches in front of their fucking face.
Yeah,
I'm going on a crypto rant.
That's like
Yeah,
George,
now,
George,
The other thing is,
Galloway,
it's
George
worth
Galloway.
Okay.
Go, Senna, go. Go, Senna, go. Senna, you go.
It's worth mentioning there are some anarchists like that as well, in that if anyone talks about decolonization theory or anything of that sort, they'll start screaming about how, oh, well, you know, these mean Native Americans and stuff, they're gonna deport all the white people. And no. No, that is not what the vast majority of anyone talking about this advocates for, and you're either insinuating that that is what everyone talks about, or that it's going to very easily be co-opted by, you know, the few assholes out there who genuinely do want something like that, which I'm just gonna say, to me that feels a little infantilizing to native people and kind of an assumption that they're not smart enough to notice people like that.
Yeah.
When they're
Now,
often way better
if I
at
may-
noticing it than many of us.
If I may, right, here's the thing. George Galloway, you fat, midget, bald head, boomer, millionaire prick. If you're watching this, and I don't think you're going to be watching this, if you are watching, you are a disgrace to all anti-imperialist struggle. You are a millionaire. You are a member of the capitalist class. Now, genuine anti-imperialists, and I mean this of all anti-imperialists. Anti-imperialists are not only opposed to America, not only opposed to America's interference in the wider world. They're opposed to China's interference in the world. That includes Hong Kong. That includes Tibet. That includes Xinjiang. That includes all these places. It includes Russia's interference in places like Crimea. Now, if I may, death to all imperialist powers, whether that be the United States, Britain, Russia, or China.
Email does not
Death
advocate violence.
Death to all imperialist colonial power. All of them. No exception. Death to them all.
Exactly. Now, a quick thing that I find is a good litmus test for any sort of person you're considering listening to when they talk about stuff, especially for a lot of your tanky types. Don't look at the things they say. Don't look at the language they use to describe their positions. Look at who they support and look at who they don't talk about. That will tell you everything you need to know. These people are an insidious fucking cancer on the left. And frankly, there's something I want to see gone because, yes, many of them are just LARPers. Many of them, when things get serious, will turn tail and run the fuck away like the cowards they really are. But the problem is that the way their social groups form, their organizations, look at the PSL, hell, even just look at the sort of way they behave on Twitter, and then run it through the Byte model or anything like that, and you'll find that outside of the religious aspect, it functions much like a cult, except without one singular figurehead who's actively running it. They perpetuate it themselves.
And that's the thing, is like,
there are people who are going to be so brainwashed by all of that that they actually genuinely 100% believe that we are the biggest threat to them. They spend a lot of time already talking way more about things that the stupid anarchists are doing instead of talking about what fascists are doing. Many of them will actively collaborate with fascists or simply go after us on their own accord.
Yeah.
This is something that needs to be crushed when it's early. We cannot let it get out of hand, otherwise it will harm us.
So, do you guys remember remember when Trump got elected, you had the Refuse Fascism movement? After, like literally maybe 2 or 3 days after Trump got elected, Refuse Fascism that was set up by Bob Avakian, the fucking, I think, Bob Avakian? I don't know how you pronounce his fucking surname. Cultist Trotskyist motherfucker. Here's the thing. Trotskyists, I don't give a shit who they are, what movement they represent. Trotskyists are the biggest tumor to the left.
Oh my god.
Trotskyists need physically fucking removed and deplatformed everywhere and anywhere.
Okay,
They need removed.
I don't think I can
I
post
can
this
just say
video
I've
in
only
any
met
Facebook
2 trots
Trotskyist
who were
groups now.
halfway decent, and most of them weren't
Nah.
like full trot. They were just kind of like that.
Okay, I would like to jump in here as a former Trotskyist. I would like to jump in here and say that there is a distinct difference between Trotsky's. This is actually what I wanted to say. I posted it in the chat here, but I'm going to say it here. the big thing that fucks me off about these leftists, these so-called online leftists and all this, like the tankies you see on Twitter and these trots you get at university, like Socialist Alliance in fucking uni. You would run into them all the time. You would run into them all the time, Crypto. Every university in fucking Britain and Australia has their own neo-Trotskyist sect of some kind.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Just a
socialist
bro.
alternative.
Yep.
Rage. Yes, okay. So the thing is, yes, you see, you read Trotsky, you read Lenin, okay, and they say this shit. You read it and you check it out, and I will openly say that I agree with Lenin and Trotsky on a lot of shit, right? But then you look at their followers, their so-called acolytes, and they do the complete opposite of these people they lionize. They take everything that their so-called leaders said and just shit on. They betray their own ideology. They're hypocrites.
It's like the trots and the left comms can bite my fucking ballsack. The trots and the left comms will be. The trots and the left comms are quite happy to sit around in their fucking armchairs doing sweet bugger all for the sake of organizing internationalist revolution. They don't give a shit. And to be quite honest, trots, the vast majority of trots and left comms, they're not going to be affected by internationalist revolution. They don't give a shit. They're comfortable. They don't have anything to worry. They don't care. They're in this for the sake of fucking LARPing. They're in this for the sake of trying to flex their intellectual muscle. They care. They don't care about the proletarian struggle. They don't care about the working class struggle. And to be quite honest, the vast majority of them, when the next Will Van Spron's incident happens in the United States, when the next comrade who shoots up an ice detention center, when that
Crypto's
happens,
ranting so hard it's breaking the internet.
when the next Will Van Spronson incident happens, when the next comrade shoots up an ICE detention center, these rats, these parasites, will they will disavow every comrade who stands with every single person who engages in radical direct action in every colonialist power. They will run for cover. They will run for cover, and to be quite honest, every single of these fucking rats who disavow anarchists, communists, and genuine leftist organizers who engage in genuine revolutionary organizing, every single one of these prats who disavow, they say, "Oh no, you're just a danger. You're just performing." No, fuck off and die. Fuck off and die.
Alright,
pricks.
We could dunk on trots and tankies for. I think that's the theme of this bloody stream. It's just like, all right, let's stop before we keep going for an hour. And we've
okay. No.
Now,
You're not stopping me here.
I kind of did have
say
like
this.
one more thing to
Yeah,
say really
okay.
quick before
Go
Crypto kind of
go ahead,
jumped
Senna,
in.
and we'll have Pac-Man.
This is something for any off left sort of person, whatever exact thing you are, that actually doesn't have your head up your ass. Because I completely respect you, even if I disagree quite heavily on these sorts of things. My main issue is just that clearly there is something in these politics that is a massive gateway to that, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it's especially prominent in all of their formal organizations, which do things like hide rapists and collaborate with fascist organizations and all this other shit. I could go on. There's 1,000,001 scandals for every single one of these groups, from PSL to CPGML. For any off-left people out there who, are not completely batshit, there is a huge onus on you to clean the fuck up. Make these people unwelcome, stand against them, because you are the closest to them. You are the one that anyone who's being introduced to this is likely to listen to. Do not let more people get brainwashed. Fight this. That's
exactly.
Or you
remove the cultists from our ranks, trim the bush, build the revolutionary movement, remove the opportunists and remove the parasite, build the movement and cut out this fucking cancer.
I'm just going to go and say, I was going to say it. The big thing that really gets me about the online, tanky cultists that we see, and some anarchist cultists, I will not lie, is this great man theory. The big thing that gets me and pisses me off more than anything as a currently unutilized union organizer, is that a lot of the problems is there's a great quote from Lenin when he went to the Petrograd Workers' Council before they were the Petrograd Workers' Council, and he comes in and he talks to them and they says, "Oh, we're handing out leaflets and promoting socialism. Really? Who are you handing these leaflets to? Each other. Ah, incest then." And this is, what have you done? Like, seriously, you guys yell at each other on Twitter about the new economic policy and the crushing of Hungary in 1956. Like, okay, have you gone outside, looked at the current economic and social condition, and then talked to a tradie, talked to a call center worker, talked to a shipbuilder, talked to the guy working at Macca's, and asked their opinion? Because guess what? Your proletarian revolution kind of needs what is it? Oh yes, the proletariat. Fuckface. Have you actually spoken to them? No, you're in your little circle jerk on Twitter. Fuck off. You're a piece of shit. And here's another thing.
Fuck.
I'm going to go even further than that. If you're really smart, you're going to be with all of us in the council comms and the Luxembourgers. All right? Come hang out with us. We're much more fun. I like manageable sized. Okay?
All right.
Local organization and manageable. Anyway.
I think
TK, go.
I think everybody's had a little last word. Unless Theo, you want to add anything before we wrap this up?
Turkey, the Länder ist, that's my end.
Alright, that's pretty concise.
Yeah, delete Turkey. Delete Turkey.
Alright.
Turkey,
well,
the Länder ist.
Behead Erdogan.
I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining us, especially Comrade Zordon for donating $10. Thank you, Comrade Zordon. I want to give a thanks to Pac-Man, Theo, Crypto, Senna, and DipDap. And just before we go, I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe, and to subscribe to stay up to date with everything Eastern Marshlands. And we will catch you next week. Good night and good luck.
Make Erdogan Mussolini again.
I have